Hey everybody, John the Other here, obviously, and welcome to day 0-59 of Your Feelings Are Irrelevant. Now, for a long time I have thought, and I have on several occasions said, that feminism has as one of its basic foundations the subjugation of women. And I don't mean they claim that women are subjugated when in fact they're not. I mean feminism has as a goal the project of subjugating and diminishing and suppressing women, forcing them into a narrow little container, which inhibits them from realizing their potential as, fully fledged, actualized adult human beings. And Cosmo magazine has produced what I think is a propaganda indoctrination video aimed at women, which confirms this belief of mine, this belief being that feminism has as its project the subjugation of women. It's called 5 Women Get Real About Mansplaining, this despicable term. And what it is, it's I suppose some sort of a public service announcement with a bunch of 20-something hipster chicks ranting in their little, hipster girl way about how they don't need to have anything mansplained to them in a professional working environment. Let's just watch a clip.
When you make 77 cents to my dollar, then you can explain it to me.
This is how we open. This is the beginning of the video. When you make 77 cents to my dollar, then you can explain it to me. And for women, this should be a warning sign. This is an alert for you. This should sound like a klaxon, like a fire alarm going off. That you're about to be lied to. You're about to be manipulated. I mean, the 77 cents thing, sometimes they change it 78 cents as a variable number, is a lie. I mean, it's unambiguous. This isn't a difference of opinion. This isn't a different political view. It's just a straight up lie. There is such a thing as a earnings gap over a lifetime. You could even have an earnings gap over multiple years. But there is no such thing as two people doing the same job with the same seniority and the same training and getting paid differentially because one of them is a female. That is not a real thing. It's not even legal. It's a crime. And yet we are continuously fed this ridiculous and disgusting lie. And the purpose of the lie is to cultivate in you a sense of rage and entitlement to compensation for a thing that isn't real, that is actually illegal and doesn't exist. So women watching this, you should be aware that you are being manipulated and lied to. And people who manipulate and lie to you are not your fucking friends. Now, before we begin the part of the video talking about mansplaining, let's address that word, that phrase. Mansplaining is a term coined with the very specific and intended purpose of demeaning and degrading and insulting the people that it is applied to. And if you use it in a professional work environment, the correct outcome of that use of that word is that you get fired. In the same way that if you used this word beginning with N, if you use this word in a professional work environment, you will be fired, and it will be correct that you got fired. Mansplaining is the same. It's a word you don't use in polite company. And yet, weirdly, Cosmo is encouraging women of the age of their little spokesmodels here to fling this around freely in their work environment, in the professional working situation. Cosmo wants young women to become unemployable. They want them not to have jobs.
Mansplaining is when a man explains something very obvious to a woman just because she's a woman.
Yeah, it's when a man explains something to a woman just because she's a woman, not because he's trying to convey information. Now, this is so craven. In a work environment, especially in a professional work environment, repetitive explanation of tasks, especially for younger staff members, might be very annoying. And I have been in the workforce my entire life, and yes, people explain things to me that I already know how to do. That's fine. That's part of being at work. But it serves a purpose in an organization, specifically that you want to be continuously reinforcing the way we do things here in whatever work environment you're in. And this is actually a very positive characteristic where people are kept on the same page, kept in dialogue with each other. And if somebody's explaining something to you in your work environment that you already know full well how to do, the way to deal with it is go, thank you very much, I already know how to do that, thank you. Thanks for making sure that we're on the same page though. What you don't do is throw a sexist epithet at them, insulting and demeaning them. Because if you throw terms around in your work environment intended to insult and demean and degrade your coworkers or your supervisors, you're very soon going to be fired. Correctly fired, by the way.
Mansplaining manifests itself pretty much everywhere.
So this young professional victim, and I say professional because she was paid by Cosmo to do this, is complaining about explanations being offered everywhere, which is actually socially cooperative and positive behavior being reframed as socially corrosive behavior. Take something that is positive, reframe it as something negative and corrosive and oppressive and demeaning, and then apply a demeaning and degrading insult to it, and then apply that, attack people who are demonstrating a socially positive behavior. Well, the goal here is very, very clear. It's very transparent. Cosmo and their corporate backers want to indoctrinate young women to a state of entitled rage victim mentality, so that they are so socially fragile and so temperamentally touchy that nobody wants to work with them, nobody can employ them, that they are just a complete liability in a work environment. They want young women to become so socially corrosive and toxic that nobody will employ them. And then, of course, that will add to fuel to the fire of the endless narrative of grievance mongering that women are victimized because nobody will hire them, nobody will work with them. Are women going to learn from my video? Of course not. I'm the enemy.
This is ingrained in men from like a very young age.
Of course, they're talking about men being prone to freely share information and freely cooperate and freely give sort of this ongoing training and communication in a work environment, which is what makes an organization highly functional and effective. And of course, it's treated as a form of, I don't know, demeaning insults to women, that men are including women in the information sharing.
If there's one mansplainer surrounded by a lot of mansplainers, they'll feed off one another.
Yes, when one man exhibits a socially cooperative behavior who is in, say, a position of authority or seniority, other men will model themselves on that, and that's why organizations filled with men are highly effective. That's why men are such effective people in the workforce, because of this propensity to freely communicate and share information. That this is being reframed as a negative. I mean, this is the old game, isn't it? Take something that is socially positive and through rhetoric and manipulation of language frame it as something negative. And ultimately the goal here, again, this is a video from Cosmo that we're commenting on, is to cultivate in young women, young early age impressionable women, a sense of endless grievance, and now grievance at being included in, you know, the communication of the work environment. They are aggrieved at being included by framing it as mansplaining, and then of course attaching a demeaning and sexist and belittling insults to it. The goal clearly is that women should become as toxic and as socially abrasive as possible, so that nobody wants to work with them or deal with them or like patronize a business where the customer facing staff are women.
You know, if you're in a professional setting, sometimes you can't tell somebody to shut up.
We almost have a moment of self-awareness. If you're in a professional work environment, you can't tell your coworkers or your supervisors to shut up. Similarly, if you start throwing around a demeaning and sexist insult in your work environment,
Mansplaining.
Mansplaining, no.
You will learn a new term, and that term will be...
You're fired.
As always, thanks very much for watching, and have a lovely day.